What's good, YouTube? Today we're going to talk about floodgates and what a fair floodgate is. So before us you see the two most hated floodgates in the game, and neither of these are fair, but to win Yu-Gi-Oh! You don't want to play fair. And Vanity's Emptiness and Anti-Spell Fragrance are definitely unfair. Let's explain why. First off, Vanity's Emptiness reads, neither player can special summon monsters, so it restricts both players, but the thing is, you're going to go first, and if you've drawn this one of, you're able to just go off, do all of your special summon turn ones, get all your advantage, and then set this card and flip it on your opponent and restrict them. They can no longer kaiju you. They can no longer out your big monsters. They can no longer special summon to gain their resources to get rid of emptiness. They all rely on destroying what you've set out in front of emptiness. And that's often really hard to do without an actual out, and an emptiness can be held too to see if you have Regeki to out, to see if you have other things. Now, Anti-Spell Fragrance is very similar in this regard. Both players must set spell and traps before activating it. It restricts both players, but going first, you're able to activate all your spell and traps. So what is a fair floodgate? What could possibly try to limit the opponent and be fair? Well, we used to see this in some side decks, and we haven't seen it in a very long time, despite Blue Eyes being in the meta. Dragon's Bind. This is a really good example of a fair floodgate that has a lot of strategy to it, and it seems really viable, but the problem is it's fair. So activate this card by targeting a dragon-type monster you control with 2,500 less attack or defense. So it's a monster that can kind of be pushed over by other decks like Blue Eyes, but you can play it in Blue Eyes with Dragon Spirit of White. Neither player can special summon monsters with attack less than or equal to the original attack of that monster. So already you're able to special summon out a Blue Eyes alternative dragon. You're able to pendulum summon bigger things like Goliath. If you play scales that enable that, you're able to do certain things around this card already. So it's giving lenience, and most strategies are still restricted heavily by this and won't be able to. Magispectors can't special against it. But the third effect, when that monster leaves the field, destroy this card. So you're able to normal Magispector, get your trap, and remove it. And that's kind of what really limits this card, is that it's fair in that not only can it be played around because its restriction isn't absolute, it also can be gone when the monster that's targeted is gone. So you're trying to get a boss monster that kind of protects itself, but it has to be under 2,500 attack, and you would have to draw Dragon's Bind around this strategy. So Dragon's Bind is definitely a fair floodgate, and it used to see a little bit of play in the meta in the side decks, and it no longer does. Now, another example of what I would call a fair floodgate is Light and Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors. Negate all dark monster effects activated on the field or in the graveyard. Light Imprisoning Mirror basically reads negate all light monster effects activated on the field or graveyard. So, Light Imprisoning Mirror and Shadow Imprisoning are very specific against certain types of decks that can also play outs to it. And while they seem like they would be crushing those decks, first off, it doesn't stop hand. And it does affect both players, but it means your strategy has to omit light and dark monsters, or you have to be in a position to where this is going to work versus that. In a Blue Eyes deck, they can just start summoning big monsters anyways if their hand was good enough. Or if they've drawn Twin Twisters, of course, like with any of these cards, it's gone. But that's every single floodgate. What makes this fair is that your strategy has to be based around it, and it's specifically only for a certain strategy. Unlike our other side deck friend, Anti-Spell Fragrance, where you can play it within any deck, and it can work against almost any strategy because almost every single deck relies on spells besides Burning Abyss. So we see these two kind of floodgates. We see fair floodgates in Dragon's Bind, and we see unfair floodgates in Vanity's Emptiness. So both of these hit special summons, but you see what's fair, and it could be viable if Emptiness wasn't a card. It could maybe possibly do something in the future too, but it's so specific. It helps an archetype. It helps a specific kind of monster, and it also has extra outs and ways to outplay it. So what do you guys think? Would you like to see the inception of more fair floodgates in the game, where we remove the unfair floodgates? And would floodgates be so hated then? We really hate floodgates, as I've expressed before, because like the fighting game community, we enjoy mashing those buttons. We enjoy attack, attack, attack. We enjoy our strategy going through uninterrupted. So What we're really mad at is the impediment of our ability, of our deck by a card. So no matter what, I think a lot of us will dislike Floodgates, but would you say that fair Floodgates are fair? Or is there just no fair Floodgate? Are Floodgates just not fair at all? I believe there are fair Floodgates. But go ahead and tell me what you think in the comment section below. That's what it's for. And hit like if you want to see more card discussions like this, where we go in depth more so into the actual theory of the game. I will be at YCS Minneapolis. I don't have many videos right now to upload, but if I think of some throughout the day like this, where I'm going to talk about the cards, I'll have them uploaded during the YCS. I have 2 deck lists that are uploading Sunday because they wanted to keep them secret. But thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to subscribe, like the video if you enjoyed it, and check out some of these other videos that you can click on.